Welcome to the Viking Age podcast. It's the official podcast of thevikingage.com. My name is Chris Schad. I write for the Viking Age, Puckett's Pond, and Zone Coverage. My host is Adam Patrick. He is the managing editor of the Viking Age. We do this every Monday with a late week episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. Today's show, we're going to look back on a massive win against the Seattle Seahawks, or over the Seattle Seahawks, I should say. Get you up to speed on the NFC playoff picture entering week 17. And we're going to look ahead to an even bigger showdown with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. But first, just disclaimer, I know we usually do our overreactions on Monday, but we were busy celebrating the holiday with a beer. 2 beers, what? 3 beers, what? 4 beers, what? An eggnog. Is that? I was gonna ask you two. Is eggnog a thing in the West or no?
I mean, not for me. Maybe for other people, but not for me.
Like, is it available? Like, you can go get it or what?
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's New York. It's Midwest. It's West.
I didn't know if it was like a regional thing. Like, you know, like in Wisconsin, they eat like raw meat sandwiches and stuff for Christmas.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
we
disgusting.
we can get into Wisconsin a little bit. Somebody was like telling me this is like a South Dakota thing, but apparently like you put a whole bunch of seasoning and some raw meat and slap it between some buns, and it's called tiger meat.
I'm good. I don't need
Yeah.
to do that.
I mean, it is 2:00. I think most people have ate already. You are on the West Coast though, so it's like
Yeah,
noon. But
I'll be all right.
weird holiday traditions. Lutheran sushi for the win, or ham pickle and cream cheese roll-ups. That's the way to go.
Yeah, my wife makes a pierogi and kielbasa casserole on like the 23rd, and then because I've got like some Polish on my side, the family. That's what we used to do, and then on her side, she's super Italian, so they do the 7 fishes at their place, but we only did 4 on Tuesday, but that was fine because some of them we don't like. So
7 fishes?
yeah, they don't eat meat on Christmas Eve, so that it's like a tradition. It's big. It's Italian thing where you have seven fishes. I don't know the details around it, but that's what we just do.
I ate a ton of meatballs, so
Yeah.
like I went in the opposite direction, but it was.
And then we had pizza
fantastic.
yesterday, so
Yeah, Christmas pizza.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Aside from holiday food, let's focus in. What I was getting at is because usually we do our overreactions on Monday, but it was a huge win over the Seahawks. So we're each going to do one overreaction from the win over Seattle. Adam, per usual, I will allow you to go first, and you only get one, so make it count.
Yeah, I was gonna say we weren't able to do the podcast on Monday because we were just so excited to watch the Packers and Saints massive battle
Fired up, yes.
on Monday because that was a huge win for the Packers. They destroyed one of the best teams in the NFL. Oh no, wait, they didn't. But for my lone overreaction, my tape delayed overreaction from the Seahawks game is I've heard this tossed around, so I'll probably just be agreeing with some people who've already maybe even said this on other podcasts, but I think Sunday's win over the Seahawks by the Vikings was the most impressive by the Vikings in Kevin O'Connell's tenure with the franchise. Now, the Vikings have won a number of big games during Kevin O'Connell's tenure. He arrived with the team in 2022, so it's like a little less than 3 seasons. And some, like the consensus probably before Sunday, or it might still be, is that the overtime win in Buffalo in 2022 is probably like the most impressive. That was a great win, but I feel like this win was better for multiple reasons. It was on the road, terrible weather, trailing late in the fourth quarter against an NFC opponent, which means a whole lot more than beating a team like the Bills who are in the AFC, and it really doesn't matter if you win or lose to those teams most of the time. And then they played in a place where the franchise hadn't won a game since 2006. So just a lot going against them. But the Vikings didn't get scared when their backs were against the wall. The fourth quarter, they came up with big plays on offense, defense, and even special teams. And some might say, well, it's just the Seahawks. They're not a really good team. They're like one of the best teams. They're okay, but that's not an easy place to win, regardless of what their home record is. It's still difficult, especially for the Vikings. Like I said, a team that's struggled there for multiple decades. And the Seahawks are in the middle of competing for a playoff spot, so they're going to be doing whatever they can to win a game too. They're not just going to be, rolling over. So in that game, the Vikings won, and I feel like they proved they can defeat just about any team in any environment this year. So that's why I think the win over the Seahawks was the most impressive of Kevin O'Connell's tenure with the Vikings.
This isn't my overreaction, but I'll go there anyway. We need to stop comparing this team to the 2022 team.
Yeah.
Like that. And it's for that reason. You look at the 2022 team. Yeah, that Buffalo one. I mean, that's going to be one, if you have kids or grandkids or whatever, like 10 or 15 years down the road, you're going to be like, yeah, I remember that game. It was insane. They fumbled on the goal line. And
it was a fun win.
It was a fun win. It's something you tell,
Yeah.
you sit around at Christmas and you tell your relatives about, like, remember that game? I think this is a little bigger than that, because every time that 2022 team had a big moment, they got hit upside the face. I think the next week they went home and faced Dallas, and then there was that loss in Green Bay. It just seemed like every time that they had a chance to prove themselves, they didn't. This was a measuring stick game for the Vikings because, like you said, NFC opponent on the road. It's a place that has just been a living hell for the Vikings. The Vikings were actually the first team to lose at Lumen Field. The Seahawks beat them in a game that Sean Alexander ran for 5 touchdowns in the first half against them. Like that place can get shot into the sun as far as I'm concerned. And I've been out there. It's a very nice football stadium, and I'd love to go see a game there. But as far as like Viking success go, it just does not happen. But even in games, it's like the Vikings would get punched in the mouth and they have a response. Like, how will you respond? 2022, it was a wet fart. Here, it's more of, no, we're a good team. We're a Super Bowl caliber team. And they've done it time and time again. Eventually, maybe you can't respond, but I mean, I like what I see. I like the fact that the defense can take think about those Mike Zimmer teams, or like even the Kirk Cousins teams. One thing goes wrong and it's like, oh shit, the whole game's screwed. Like somebody got hurt. Harrison Smith's out. Oh no, we got to rely on Xavier Woods. I'm trying to think of right. I was going to say Andrew Sandejo, but he was actually somewhat good. Like he was a starting caliber player. Actually, I'm kind of thinking about that one. I don't know.
He was starting caliber in Zimmer's defense. But with like Zimmer's defense, they would he would let up if they had like a lead or anything.
Correct.
And like play prevent and the other team would be able to come back. Where it seems like Brian Flores doesn't let up at all. He just keeps bringing it and bringing it and bringing it. And eventually just wears down the opponent to where they want to get rid of the ball as soon as possible. And even if it's not the right throw, and it turned out not to be, and Theo Jackson's able to make those plays, and we've seen a number of defensive players come up with big plays in late game situations, and that was just another example on Sunday. So, yeah, there's a lot of different things about this team. Like Sam Darnold has no, like he's like we talk about Will Reichard being like stone cold and having no, like, he misses a kick, who cares? Like Sam Darnold doesn't care about mistakes. Like he gets banged up or whatever, gets right back up, goes out there, throws a game-winning touchdown, just like unfazed. I think there was like they showed a clip of Geno Smith talking to him after the game, and he was like, "Yeah, I love your story and everything." And Darnold's like, "Yep, good game. Okay, see you later. Gotta go." So it's like,
they asked him too. They're like, "This is the 13th win. What does it mean to you?" He's like, "Nothing."
Yeah.
Like we got work to do.
He's got blinders on, so that's good though. That's a good mentality to have. Where Kirk Cousins would be like, "Wow, this is amazing. Can't believe we did it."
Golly, yeah.
Also, he would have never done that. So, anyways,
that's a good segue because I'm going to get into this. I don't give a damn about the future of the Vikings quarterback position.
What?
Because the current state is pretty damn good. Remember when people said US Bank Stadium would burn to the ground or fall into a sinkhole or get fed to the worm and doom? When Kirk Cousins left.
Yep.
Sam Darnold has been the quarterback we deserve, some may say. 3,776 yards, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions heading into Sunday's game. In another game or so, Sam Darnold will eclipse 4,000 yards passing. He already has over 30 touchdowns, and these were mythical benchmarks that everybody leaned on, and Sam Darnold eclipsed them in 1 year working under Kevin O'Connell. Oh my God, you're replacing Kirk Cousins with Sam Darnold. To their credit, we did not know that JJ McCarthy's knee would explode. We kind of expected him to be the starting quarterback at this point, but let's look at Sam Darnold against the Seahawks, because he comes out, he sets the tone immediately with Jordan Addison. I think Addison had 3 of his 5 catches on the opening drive, caught the touchdown. He throws another touchdown to Justin Jefferson later in the first half. Vikings build a 10-point lead. It winds up evaporating, and you're sitting at home and you're like, oh, here we go. I mean, Seattle, weird stuff happens there. Final drive, Sam Darnold gets rocked by Byron Murphy Jr. And they called a face mask, which Byron Murphy's like, I didn't pull his face mask. Yeah, that's pretty dude, honest. like those freaky texts you like to send, you got caught in 4K, bro.
We cheer for the other Byron Murphy, the other rookie of the year, the other Byron Murphy.
Yes, the rookie of the year. In college, he'd probably be considered rookie of the year. It'd be like his freshman season. It's like he's a 5th-year player, 4 years in JUCO, but he's our Big Ten freshman of the year. Yeah. So anyway, he tweaks his ankle. His headset goes out on the drive. And you could just see Kirk Cousins go, ah.
Yeah, they would have had to call timeout.
They would have had to call timeout. He would have been covering his ear because the crowd was so loud. And he may have lined up under the guard. Maybe he would have lined up under the tackle this time. I don't know. Maybe, add to the comic relief. But Justin Jefferson gets open. Sam Darnold calls a play that everybody knows. Justin Jefferson gets open, throws a dart to him, game-winning touchdown on the run. And I'm trying not to turn this into a Kirk Cousins thing because that's in the past, and that's not the main point here. I'm not going to worry about the past with Kirk Cousins, and I'm also not going to worry about the future because the Vikings have earned my trust in this matter with Sam Darnold. You want to pay Sam Darnold after the season? That's great. You figure out the rest later. You want to roll with JJ McCarthy and build the rest of the roster into a wagon, an even bigger wagon that we have right now? You go ahead and do that. I'm concerned about the present because you're 13-2. There's a division rival coming to town. You have home field advantage on the line. And Sam Darnold is having the best season by a Vikings quarterback since Brett Favre in 2009. And he might be able, I guess I would put it, that's probably been the most recent because Favre in 09, Culpepper in 04, and I mean, maybe Cunningham in 98.
Keenum?
Would you put him?
He's playing better than Keenum, right?
Right. And Keenum was just kind of like
he just had some magic flips about him, yeah.
Exactly. That was just more fun than anything. But Cunningham, you could also be like, that was Randy Moss. That wasn't Randall Cunningham. One step, 2 step. No, it was like, dude, Randy's running downfield. I'm gonna chuck this up and see what happens. When I was in 6th grade in 1998 and the Vikings were having, the 98 season, it wasn't like, well, they better extend Randall Cunningham and should they look for a quarterback? He's pretty old, and
they did draft a quarterback next year.
Right? They just enjoyed it. They enjoyed the ride. They loved everything. I know I'm being a little hypocritical with my stance on some other teams, but let this play out. I don't want to talk about Sam Darnold's contract or how much he's projected for or how much he's set to be evaluated on going into next year. I mean, I'm going to write about it because it makes great money. But I mean, right now, it's just, it dominates everything. And it's just a class. It's like, I want to see what happens Sunday. I want to see what Sam Darnold does against the Packers. I want to see what he does in the playoffs. I want to see this train get rolling. And, whatever happens at the end of the year, like I said, I trust the Vikings to make the right decision. And if not, well, maybe they'll make the right decision the next time.
Yeah, it's kind of unavoidable at this point, even if you want to avoid it, because we live in a world where every network or outlet has to have 24-hour topics, so many things to talk about. It can't just be focusing on they're playing the Packers, so that's all we're going to write about now. You gotta mix it up and throw in some off-season stuff already because it's coming up before we know it. But yeah, like I like just focusing on the now because I think that's what the Vikings are doing. They're not worrying about the offseason. They're like, we have a real good chance to do something special this year. And we can worry about all that stuff after the season, which they will, and we will all talk about it and give our opinions. I will throw this in there though. All the people are like, "Oh, you got to resign Sam Darnold." What are they doing? What? Like some people are like, "Why haven't they extended him already?" And it's like, well, this is his first year. He's been, really good. And he's also had the luxury of throwing to Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones in the backfield. KOC was his head coach, a bunch of other coaches on the sideline. And then when you sign him to a big deal, you also have to consider, you're not going to have the money to re-sign Aaron Jones, Cam Bynum, all those guys, extend Van Ginkel, extend Pace. Like, this are all the things they were able to do because they moved on from a quarterback they were paying a lot of money. So if you are happy with the job that the Vikings have done this year with Darnold, you should probably be happy with what they plan to do with McCarthy, which is continue this and ride his cheap contract, and plan to do the same thing. And people are like, "Oh, you don't know about McCarthy." I'm sorry, people were predicting the Vikings to win 6 games with Sam Darnold. Okay, so like, let's not all of a sudden be like, they have to re-sign him or else this guy's gonna crumble again. It's like, no, we literally went through like almost the exact same thing last offseason with Kirk Cousins, and now it's flipped in Sam Darnold. It's just insane to say. Even a few months ago, you'd been like, "What?" So yeah, it's going to be a topic of conversation, but I think it's good, yes, to focus on the now because they do have an opportunity to do something special, especially if they win the next 2 games and get home field advantage. I think it would be the first time since '98.
It would be.
And that's huge in a place like US Bank Stadium. That's huge. So yeah, like, focus on the game. There's going to be people are going to give their opinions. I think like Cowherd's a big one who's been voicing his opinion recently. Rex Ryan and Alex Smith. I mean,
they're gonna put JJ in. They're gonna put JJ in. You have to extend him now.
Like, Alex Smith is like freaking out. He's
I'm
having.
so sorry. I just blew out everybody's earbuds.
He's having
listening.
He's having night terrors at night of just getting replaced by Kaepernick and then getting traded so Mahomes can replace him. Yeah, so he's getting big time PTSD right now from everything that's going on. But yeah, so we'll try and not focus on it, but it's hard. But at the same time, it's like, I think all that's important is the people in the locker room aren't worried about it. And I think Darnold's, every time he gets asked about something like that, he's just like, yeah, I don't really care right now. So even like the past, he's always been like, I'm not going to talk about the past because it doesn't matter, because I wouldn't have got here right now if not for the stuff happening in the past. So I think the team has the right mindset, and that's all really that matters.
Ashley Bowman's in the comments. She's got a good point. She says that's exactly how KOC approaches it too. He says every week is an opportunity to go 1-0. Just take it 1 week at a time. Skull. Thank you, Ashley, for commenting. I agree with her. I mean, like I said, let's see what Sam Darnold does this week, next week, whatever. Just keep winning. They're 5 wins away from a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think like everyone's waiting for the shoe to drop. And I feel like they've been doing that until last week when they beat the Seahawks. Now all of a sudden everyone's flip-flopped and they're like, "Oh wait, Sam Darnold might be good." And they're like, it's like, it's week 17.
Stephen A. Smith even is like that. He's like, Slava Medvedev, you talk about Sam Darnold. Darnold.
You can't
extend. You can't let him walk. Like, I've been saying he sucks ass all year.
2 weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, you're like, they signed Daniel Jones. He's backing up Sam Darnold. It's like,
he's not the only person backing up.
Yeah, you know how many people would, kill to be backing up Sam Darnold right now? A lot of people. So
you think Teddy Bridgewater called the Vikings before he signed with the Lions this afternoon?
No, I think the thing with the Lions is probably worked out a long time ago, because he's known Dan Campbell for a while. I think Dan.
Oh yeah, he might have been there, Miami too.
No,
or maybe Campbell, that was like further.
He was with the Saints when Teddy went over there, 2018 when he got traded there.
That's when they were hiring Aaron Rodgers coordinators to be head coaches.
Yeah.
Joe Philbin, Bob McAdoo, or Ben McAdoo.
Bob McAdoo.
Bob McAdoo is the basketball player. Easy to get mixed up.
That would have been fun. Probably would have done just as well as Ben McAdoo.
Or Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah, guys. Yeah. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Aaron told me shut the fuck up, but everything's fine. All right. Let's get our sponsor and then we get it out of the way. It is Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all of your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against other players by just selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats. You could win up to 1,000 times your money, so turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog. Underdog is also the best place to cash in on your football takes this season. Which players are going off? Which ones are ice cold? Make your entries in just a few taps and turn your sports opinions into real money. Underdog also has vulture protection. If you select a designated running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry and they get vultured, they will rescue your entry. And Underdog has a game known as Red Zone Rush. It's a game you will not find anywhere else. You just pick whether or not a player will score a touchdown by swiping right for yes or left for no. It's as simple as that. And you won't get rejected if you're correct. Your auto entry will also be boosted. You'll get a 51% profit boost when you play. I've been an Underdog user for years now. I had a great weekend, and I've really been into, I don't know if you've noticed this, Adam, the first quarter and first half picks. So yesterday, Christmas Day, watching the Chiefs and the Steelers, Patrick Mahomes had 0.5 rushing yards in the first quarter. And I know he's faking his injury. So I said, yep, higher. And I got that. I went lower on Russell Wilson's entry yards and I got a little cash. Sam Darnold had 0.5 first half touchdown passes on Sunday. So I did that. I combined it with the higher on Jackson Smith and Jigba's receiving yards, higher on Will Reichard field goals, and then it'd be $25 on a $5 bet. Or entry, I'm sorry, on a $5 entry. So you can win some cash too. Download the app today. Use the code The Age. It's all one word. You get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, download the app today. Use the code The Age. $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Select higher or lower on your favorite players and cash in on Underdog. You must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Or in Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. And in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. My apologies for losing the wrong word there. I'm kind of grading myself in real time, but
we'll be okay. Two things before we move forward, though, is Ivan Pace and Harrison Smith both practiced today for the Vikings. So that's good news. And then Matt LaFleur was asked if Jair Alexander has a better chance to play this week, and he said, quote, I'd say probably not. So Jair keeps, he's hiding. He's hiding from that Justin Jefferson's team. Doesn't want to get burned by Jefferson and Addison this week because, can't do that gritty if he's on the field. But no, he's dealing with a knee injury, so he's been out for a while, actually.
And actually, he got mostly Jordan Addison in that first game, and he got cooked pretty bad. Yeah, but
he does that, except when he has 3 safeties helping him over the top. But
yeah, and his big hat. But again, neither here or there. Before we get to the Packers and Vikings preview, let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture very quickly right now. Long story short, the Vikings are either going to get the 1st or 5th seed in the playoffs. Makes sense, right? Also, if the Lions and Vikings both win on Sunday, one of them will be the first 14-win team in NFL history not to win their division.
Wave the flag.
Making history here in Minnesota. That's what we love to do. The current playoff picture entering Thursday night's game between the Bears and the Seahawks, a real banger on Amazon. Lions are number 1 seed, 13-2. The Eagles are second at 12-3. The Rams are the NFC West champion as of right now. 9-6 record. Falcons at 8-7. The Vikings are the first wild card team at 13-2. The Packers are the second wild card team at 11-4, and the Commanders are 10-5. Basically, the Bucs and the Seahawks need to win their division to get in. And as of right now, the Vikings would go to Atlanta to play the Falcons. So how are we feeling about where the Vikings are heading into week 17?
I'd like them to get home field advantage, obviously. But I feel like they're very capable of moving on to. I feel like they could still get to the NFC Championship if they are the 5th seed, because I'm not worried about the Bucs, the Falcons. They just beat the Seahawks. I feel like they can beat the Rams. That game was weird. It was short rest. It was after playing the Lions, so like there's a whole bunch of factors that went into that game. Puka Nacua was like, oh, I guess he's back. We had no idea he was going to be back. And it's like, okay.
My sweet little Puka Bear, I love you so much. I'm Matthew Stafford.
So
I
then,
just throw you the ball, and Cooper Cup's like, can I get something? Anything, please? No, Puka Bear.
So if they win, they'll probably play. They'll play like the Lions or the Eagles in the second round, probably. I think they can beat the Eagles. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea how they have. What do they have? They have
12 wins.
12 wins. Like any other team with as much problems that they have had in that locker room this year would be like 4-11. But somehow they are 12-3, and I guess that's credit probably to the players on the field for actually coming up with the plays, because it sounds like the coaches just have no idea what they're doing, especially the head coach. And then you got question marks with Jalen Hurts because he didn't practice yesterday. He probably won't practice today. They're probably just going to sit him on Sunday. Now they're pretty much out of the 1 seed unless things just go absolutely crazy. And then I think Kenny Pickett's hurt too, because they brought in another quarterback. So something to keep an eye on. And then who would be the third? Would that be the Rams or the Seahawks? Probably. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah, I'm not. I would prefer them to have home field advantage, but I think after we saw what they did against the Seahawks and they've only lost, the Rams game is only in, they've lost on the road. So I'm fairly confident that the Vikings can go in and get the job done, because they've proven it time and time again this year. And it's weird to like last week, like on Sunday when they played the Seahawks and they were trailing, like I wasn't like, I don't know, freaking out, because I felt confident that the offense could get it done and then the defense would make a play. It was weird. And also if they lost, I wasn't going to be like, oh no, because we all figured they were going to lose to the Seahawks. But at the same time, I'm prepared to get my heart broken in the playoffs too. So
the Eagles are. I sent you the GIF before we went on in the air, but it was like Beaker and Bunsen, like from the Muppets. It's like if Bunsen loved Philly cheesesteaks a little too much, like that'd be Dom, and then Nick Sirianni Beaker just me, and the lab's on fire. Yeah, that's
what do you have to do? He had to separate somebody. Like
so apparently Nick Sirianni and Zach Ertz got into it.
That's right.
And Big Dom had to go over there. That Dom's not even been in jail. He's not even,
we don't think so.
He doesn't know it. Well, maybe he has been in jail. Maybe they threw him in jail after he. Yeah. What did he do last year? Did he shoved some player? Well, I was gonna say he shoved a ref, but no, it was a player.
He was trying to. I think he was getting in Sirianni's face or something, and then he was the security guard was doing his job and just pushing him out of the way. Who was that against?
The Niners.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was the Niners game, and he came in and he shoved him. Yeah. Also apologize. My nose is just itching. I swear. No, I swear it's not snowing here in Brookings. If you know what I mean, but Dan Campbell might. Oh, that was a little rough. Anyway, are you upset about this whole seating thing, by the way? Because I don't know, 1 or 5 seems a little.
It's annoying, but like what the whole NFC North is doing is literally unprecedented. Like this doesn't happen. You don't have 3 teams. What the Packers have 12 wins now? Do they have 12 or 11? I think they have 12, right?
The Packers?
Yeah.
They're 11-4.
Okay, they have 11. Like there's never been, I feel like, 3 teams that have in the same division that have won 11 or more games in a season, I feel like. And I could be wrong, but I feel like this is the first time for that to happen. And so, like, this was going to happen. People are going to complain about the seeding, but, like, for the most part, it seems to work itself out. I still feel like the NFL is going to get to an 18-game season, then they'll go back to having the 2 buys for the playoffs. They'll add another team to the playoffs. We'll have 8 teams in the playoffs per conference, and they'll go back to 2 buys. Because I don't like that the 1 seed is the only team that gets to buy. I feel like that's my only problem with the seeding. Because before it was like, if you get the 2nd seed, okay, at least you get a bye, and you have a better chance. Where it seems like the 1 seed is a team that really just has the best chance because they get home field and they get a bye, where everyone else has to like just keep getting beat up and stuff. But it is what it is. Like I said, if the Vikings were terrible on the road, yeah, I'd probably care a lot more. But I feel confident they can win on the road too.
I think too, the NFL has to love this, right? Because like right now,
Yeah.
week 17 looks like a bunch of exhibition games. Like there's no playoff spots on the line in the AFC, I believe. I think maybe like
Dolphins, Colts, and Broncos.
Yeah, Cincinnati is like 2 games back, and like that's the closest anybody is right now.
Yep.
In the NFC, I just got done saying, I mean, the wild card spots are basically sewn up right now, and then you have the division titles, but outside of that, it's like Vikings, Lions, who gets the bye?
Yeah.
Like if it was 1 and 2, it would just kind of be like, oh, ho hum, like what? And I mean, you could also sit there and be like, okay, home field advantage is on the line. Both teams would play hard for that, but you're trying to avoid those meaningless games at the end. I think too, like this format makes divisions matter. Like the NBA has a problem with their divisions because like there's nothing that matters in the division unless like it's the only problem.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the only time divisions come into play is like Western Conference playoff scenes. And it's just like, why don't you just make it a full conference then? Make it 16 teams, 1 through 16, and just have it matter that way. Because I think the Wolves beat like every team in the tiebreaker, but they were still the 3rd seed because, some kind of weird divisional tiebreaker, even though division like hockey divisions matter because you have to go through them to get deep into the playoffs. That's a problem for the Wild, but it creates rivalries. Rivalries.
Baseball divisions matter. Matter.
Baseball divisions matter a lot in baseball. Like you win, you get in, and you get a bye in the playoffs, most likely.
Dodgers and Dodgers.
Exactly. So I mean, I think it makes divisions matter, and I think it creates for an interesting wild card week because that's the other thing too. You got to sell things over wild card weekend, like the 14-2 Vikings going to the really hopeful Atlanta Falcons, and they show the Falcons, yay, we can do it. We benched Kirk, yay! Our team's in financial hell.
I think if the Vikings win on Sunday, it'll take about 5 minutes for the NFL to be like, all right, Lions Vikings is flexed to Sunday Night Football the following week.
Vikings take the lead and like, here, I just got
this note. Because the Lions play on Monday and they play the Niners on Monday, so they won't even have played yet. But I feel like if the Vikings win, it's going to be automatic. Like what are they going to have? Seahawks and Rams? Falcons. Falcons and Bucks already played twice.
Right.
Like I don't even know who, because all the other the 1, 2, and 3 seeds are all locked up in the AFC.
And they need something at 325.
Can the Commanders win the NFC East? Can they climb back in?
I didn't do the math on.
I think the Eagles would have to probably lose their next 2 games.
Right. So. Yeah, but they don't play. I mean, that's like a 325 situation where you have both teams play in the late window, and then it's some drama. But I don't know. Week 18 is kind of going to suck this year, I think.
You think?
Outside of Vikings, Lions.
Oh, yeah. Well, week 18's, it's always been like when you play like your backup quarterback. Like
half the teams have quit too.
Well, they
the Giants quit.
Oh, they want the number 1 pick.
Yeah. And too bad nobody there is going to be around to see it. Table and Schad is getting fired.
The owner will be.
Yeah. Oh, if only
losing sleep over Saquon
Barkley.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors will be there to see it if he hasn't suffered his 3rd concussion.
The Raiders just messed everything up by beating the Jaguars. So.
Yeah.
Now they dropped like 4 spots.
That's Raiders gonna
But
Raider,
Antonio
man.
Pierce was excited.
Did they have victory cigars
I
after
think
that one?
so. I don't know if they had
Line them
cigars,
up, baby. We screwed over our future.
yeah. They'll probably trade up now.
Oh, all right. Let's get to the main event right now. Vikings and Packers Sunday at US Bank Stadium. It's a 3:25 kickoff on Fox. Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi on the call. It's the A team. You afraid of the A team? Jim!
I'm not afraid of him, but I don't really want to listen to Tom Brady for 3 hours.
Yeah. I feel like he knows a lot. He just doesn't know how to like say it.
Yeah, like there's time, like he tries to be. I don't. It's just so robotic. Like there's times where his input's good. Like
Cookie
when
cutter. That's the word I would use.
like when the Bills and Rams played, I felt like that was probably one of his best games because when the Bills screwed up the clock situation at the end with the QB sneak, he was just like freaking out and like, what are they doing? Like that's what we want. We don't want like you want shorter third downs. That's always what you want. And when you got a goal line situation, you want to score a touchdown. It's like, yeah, we knew that. You didn't need to pay you $300 million to figure that out, but whatever.
I feel like somebody might have just told him, "Hey, keep it simple." Like Madden never was like groundbreaking, but he's just like, "Oh, football, yeah." Like,
Yeah, and like you think he gets better, and then he kind of has like a setback because I think he wasn't as good with the Ravens and Steelers last Saturday. But luckily he gets to the Super Bowl, so we'll have to listen to that too.
at least it's not Tony Romo and Jim
Spiro.
Nantz because people are or Spiro, yes.
And Adam Archuleta, who's crying because the Titans are losing.
He still probably hasn't gotten over that. They called calls against them. Fair. This is basically a pick'em game in terms of odds, though. The Packers are favored by as many as 1 point. The Vikings are favored by 1.5 in some places. Caesars Sportsbook, for example, they have the game as a pick'em. So very close. What is your biggest concern about the Packers heading into Sunday?
At this point, I feel like it'd be the Vikings. A lot of their losses or times they've been behind is just really them shooting them in the foot, whether it's like an Aaron Jones fumble or a Sam Darnold interception. Think like if they give the Packers those opportunities, the Packers are probably going to be able to take advantage of them. I know Matt LaFleur's he's done pretty good in US Bank Stadium, but he's also been good because he's had Aaron Jones and now he doesn't have him. But Josh Jacobs has been pretty good. What I'm worried about, like, there isn't a whole lot because I think the Packers are good, but I think there's a reason why the Vikings were up by like 3 touchdowns on them like earlier in the season. And I think Brian Flores is probably going to be out to like show like, hey, you're not going to score that many points on us that you did a couple weeks ago because I think he was really mad about. I wasn't Blake Cashman like super pissed off about that because they let him come back. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot I'm worried about. I'm annoyed at Packers fans because they're like, oh, the Vikings are overrated and all I do is win 1-score games. And it's like, yeah, so does this team, the Chiefs. Have you heard of them? They won the last like 2 Super Bowls. They have like 2 fewer 1-score games that they've played in than the Vikings. So and they've done pretty decent. So yeah, Packers fans are all just like just holding the banner and waving the flag, whatever, because they killed the Saints and did like set unprecedented records and everything. And it's like to say you beat, like everyone's like you beat a JV team, and it's true because the Saints aren't trying to win. They're trying to like figure out how they're not gonna pay a ton of money to get rid of Derek Carr. So yeah, there's not a whole lot I'm worried about the Packers. Like they can beat the Vikings for sure, but I think it would be more of the Vikings beating themselves than it would be the Packers beating the Vikings.
Like I said, there's just an alarming number of teams that look like they've quit at this point of the year. Like it's just kind of like, I think they asked, I can't remember who it was, but somebody on the Bears, they like asked him and they're like, are you excited for training camp next year to like prove you excited for training camp next year to prove yourself? And he's like, no, I'm excited to go on vacation. Like,
I don't like him. Like not like as a person or anything, but like he's never been on a good team, and I feel like there's a reason for that. Like
he's Julius Randle or Kevin Love used to be that way, where he just like put up stats, but like he never got close to like a winning team.
He signed that big extension, and I'm like, okay,
Did
Okay.
you see too that Pete Carroll is interested in the Bears job?
Yeah.
What's that interview going to be like?
I don't know.
Well, what do you think about the job?
That's one
Well,
where like the owner falls in
got any more
love.
gum?
Yeah, he's like, I'm from USC. I know Caleb Williams, and I can get him. But he's a defensive guy too, so like I think they should hire offense. And Ben Johnson apparently is interested in the job too, so like that should be their guy. But they'll find a way to screw it up probably.
I don't like God, the gum that would just like you have two dudes who just like destroy gum,
Like, has he
chew
worked
it
for?
like a cow.
I know he worked for the Vikings. Has he worked for the Bears in the past? I don't know.
I don't think so, but
So
and I know like I think in 2022 when they fired Zimmer, like Pete Carroll's name came up like for a hot minute, and then thankfully they chose Kevin O'Connell because that's worked out pretty well.
I'm interested in the Bears job too, Pete Carroll. So yeah,
better watch out.
the same chance probably.
Hashtag sources. My concern with this game is the Packers running game.
Yeah.
Green Bay's 4th in the NFL in rushing yards, 6th in yards per carry. Josh Jacobs is 4th in the NFL with 1,216 rushing yards. And I know I called him a fraud earlier in the year, but mainly it's because like people were like, oh, he fixed Malik Willis. He didn't fix Malik Willis. He hid Malik Willis for 3 weeks. So I don't know, but he's very creative in how he utilizes his running game. Jaden Reed has 17 carries. Bo Melton has 7 carries. Tucker Kraft has 3 carries. And by the way, that's a play that was used at South Dakota State that LaFleur put in the playbook smartly. He didn't create the play. I just want to point that out right now. But this Vikings run defense is actually very good, even though people have kind of freaked out about it. The Vikings are first in EPA per rush right now. Expected point added. It's minus 0.18. Denver, Philadelphia, and Baltimore are all second, but they're down at minus 0.11. DVOA says the Vikings are 4th against the run at 20.9%, negative 20.9%. And they're going to get Ivan Pace Jr. back, who is a top 10 run defender, according to PFF. And that also helps regardless, because the Vikings explosive play rate allowed is 21st in the NFL right now, but it drops to the lowest rate in the league at 7.7% when Ivan Pace and Blake Cashman are both on the field. Alec Lewis wrote that in his piece for The Athletic today. I feel like the Packers are going to get creative in this game, and the Vikings have to be ready for it. And if they stop the run, I think they're going to win this game. If they don't stop the run, I don't think they are going to win this game. And that's going to be important because they're going to have to stop the run a lot here the rest of the way.
Yeah, I was looking at the numbers, and the Packers' second lowest rushing total of the year was against the Vikings in Week 4. So they've already done well. Was Jacobs kind of banged up in that game? I feel like he might have been.
Yeah, I mean, he's always banged up.
It's a running.
He's always got something.
It's running back.
Yeah.
So he should seek an opinion from like 3 doctors before he comes back.
Dr. Campbell has cleared you to play.
I agree with that, but like the Vikings did pretty well last week against Kenneth Walker and the other Seahawks rookie they have. They didn't play Charbonnet. They didn't play him, even though he did pretty well. So yeah, like I said, there's not a whole lot I'm worried about the Packers. The Vikings can beat them. So yeah, I'm feeling good, and at the same time, I'm like, if they lose, whatever, I don't care. They're in the playoffs right now. I think that's it's kind of like allowed us to be like, okay, whatever happens. If they feel like number 1 seed at this point is kind of icing on the cake, because this season has just been enjoyable no matter what. You don't want them to stumble in the playoffs, but if they're able to get that 1 seed, that would be awesome. And it starts on Sunday.
Here's the other thing that I kind of want to point out. Like, I feel like this game means more to the Packers. Like, and I think it means a lot to the Vikings. Like, they want home field advantage. Like, they would be fools not to want that. They also probably want to beat the Packers, a second time, because late in the season, it seems like the Packers have kind of hit the Vikings with a frying pan. 2019 Christmas Eve, like Zadarius Smith in the worst Christmas ever. 2021, Kirk Cousins goes down with a positive COVID test, and Sean Mannion has to step in. 2020, what's that? Yeah,
Not
the
Kellen
Kellen
Mond.
Mond game, which is
Not
weird.
Kellen Mond.
Oh, not Kellen. Yeah. Well, it's kind of, I was just about to say, it's weird in my mind is the Kellen Mond game, but he only played 3 snaps because Zimmer just threw him under the bus after the game.
Yep.
One of the greatest quotes ever. I see him every day.
And he was right.
Yeah, he was right. 2022, Jair's doing the gritty with, 4 safeties over the top. And it just becomes more each time you mention it. It's
Last
like
year was what, New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
Sunday night?
Yeah, they threw out Jaron Hall. So,
Yeah.
and Jordan Love.
Yeah. Like some of the quarterbacks they've had the last few. They didn't have, it's weird to say, they didn't have Sam Darnold in some of those losses.
You are not ready for Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Like this isn't the same Sam Darnold you're used to. Like, I feel like he is getting better too. Like, we watched that quarterback series, and Kirk Cousins, I think he admitted that was his first year with KOC. He admitted, like, by week 8 or week 9 was really when he started to really get a grasp on the offense. And it kind of feels, since the Jaguars game, that Darnold's been playing out of his mind since then, just really confident and cool and calm. So I expect that to continue, especially with Jair probably going to be out on Sunday. So,
are you sure it's not Toyotathon?
Isn't that over now?
No, I looked. It ends on January 6th, which probably,
of course,
well, it's near and dear to Packers fans.
For Monday Night Raw. Right?
Boo! Okay. We'll move on to what I was trying to get to. But like, sometimes you can just sense it, though, right? Like, North Dakota State beat South Dakota State on Saturday, and like, it's not that South Dakota State didn't want to win the game. It's that North Dakota State really wanted it badly. The Jackrabbits have dominated them the last couple of years. Cam Miller got some slack for saying, I hate the Jackrabbits after the game. Like, that makes sense because everybody's like, you can't beat South Dakota State. You suck. And there's all these other games where he's played very well. So, I mean, the Packers are probably sitting there remembering that 28-0 hole they were in the first half, and the Vikings only won by 1 score, but they kicked their ass for about 45 minutes. The advantage the Vikings have going into this game too is that I feel like it's really easy to get into the minds of Matt LaFleur and Dan Campbell.
Oh yeah,
like you already know about Dan Campbell. I'm sure we'll talk about him next week. I don't know what the male version of a Karen is. Maybe it's a Schad or whatever. Matt LaFleur is the NFL's version of a Karen because that guy gets upset about the weirdest stuff, like the Lions fan thing. Yeah, the Lions fan was probably a dick and probably shouldn't have done a throat slash. But why do you care? Why do you care? Like, okay, dude, yeah, whatever. Like, have another beer, whatever. No, it's security's got to be down here, and they have to stop this. This is outrageous. He's looking at our players and like, why are you upset? His fans do the wave while they're on offense, which, by the way, best fans in the NFL make a ton of noise while offense is on the field. And he's like sitting there, like throwing up his hands, like, what are they doing? Focus on the damn game, dude. So like he
got a flag in the Vikings game.
Yeah, he got the NFL's version of a technical foul during the game at Lambeau. Like, he can get testy at times when things aren't going his way. And this is also the guy who saw Dion Lewis standing on one side and Derrick Henry on the other, and he goes, "Let's make Dion Lewis our number 1 running back." What? Like, I think
he's learned from that.
I do too. And I think the Packers are going to go 4 to the floor to win this game, even though they have an outside chance of getting the 5 seed because the Packers have to win out and the Vikings have to lose out. But I mean, I would much rather go to Tampa Bay or to Atlanta than Los Angeles in Wild Card Weekend. We just got done talking about it. And like I said, this time maybe the Vikings would actually prepare for Puka Nacua. This Matthew Stafford's sweet little Puka bear. I feel like the Packers want to win this game, and we might get an unhinged version of Matt LaFleur because of it. And I don't know if that's either going to help the Vikings or it's going to hurt them.
Yeah, I feel like I was just thinking in my head, I feel like I'm more worried about the Packers in the playoffs than I am in this game on Sunday. Because you go in there and you're like, if they play the Vikings in Minnesota, they just want to do everything possible to just ruin the day for Vikings fans and end their their destiny to the Super Bowl. Like that would be just so enjoyable for the Packers and their fans. So like I'd be more concerned about them in the playoffs. So yeah, it's gonna be fun on Sunday. Hopefully, there's no holiday hangover. We've had a couple of those the last few years where Vikings
The
games around this
Cardinals
time are
game.
a little quiet. So, but I don't know about that because Vikings Packers games are always pretty loud. Although I wouldn't like. I saw it might have been Seaford who threw out this morning that like 23% of tickets for the game this weekend have been sold to like Packers fans. I don't know how you prove that. First off,
I think so. When I buy tickets on SeatGeek or StubHub, they ask you,
oh, okay,
and like some people might just not answer at
yeah.
all. But
And then at the same time, I think the get-in price for this weekend is like $4.50. So if you're a Vikings
yeah,
fan and you want to make money during the holidays, I wouldn't blame you for selling those tickets
no.
for this game. I know some people are like, "Oh, you're not a real fan if you do that," and it's like, or I
Have you
just
have
want
you
that
gone to the
money.
grocery store
Yeah,
lately?
I want $1,000 for 2 tickets. Yeah, so it'll be
I
fun. It'll be fun. I wish the whiteout game would have been Sunday instead
for
of
sure.
against the Bears, but that
Yeah.
was easier to plan because it was Monday night, and they were highly unlikely to flex that just because Monday nights are weird. I don't think did they flex a Monday night game this year? I don't think they have.
No, they just flexed the Thursday night game, and that was a shit show.
Yeah, why'd they do that?
Over Christmas. Like there's a big article over at The Athletic. It like had like 7 or 8 stories of like people like, yeah, my son's coming in for the military.
Right.
We were gonna go to the game, and yeah, that ain't happening anymore.
Yeah, it's
Like
kind of a
they
dick
should
move.
they should not
You
do
should get a
that.
refund for that probably. You should be able to
But
do
you
that.
can't.
I know
Yeah.
because ticket people are just not the greatest people in the world.
All right. Enough talking.
All right.
What's your prediction for Sunday?
34-28 Vikings.
34-28 Vikings. You know, this is going to sound like the classic shoot a drop thing.
Yep.
But I don't know. Like I said, I think the Packers really want this one. And maybe this is just me going with the jinx, you know? So Packers 28, Vikings 27. I think the Vikings, but then I think they meet in the playoffs and the Vikings win.
All right. Where? It'd have to be in Minnesota, right?
It would have to be NFC
unless
Championship game, wouldn't
the
it?
Vikings lose in week 18.
Because if
the
we look
Vikings
at
and
it
Packers
now,
they could still have the same record, right?
yes. So the Vikings, so if like current playoff picture, let's say it's 5-6, Vikings still get like that's the thing. I feel like if the Vikings lose this game, they're gonna get the 6th seed. But I don't know. And because the Packers all they have to do is beat the Bears. And like I said, we know Dan Campbell's just gonna be like, well, yeah, we got the 1 seed locked up. We're gonna go 4 on the floor and try to beat these guys.
Did you hear what he said about the Niners?
Mm-mm.
About how like they know the Niners are like out of the playoffs and they want to look ahead to week 18, and he's like, nope, we're gonna practice real hard this week. We're gonna, who cares if this team's out of the playoffs? We're gonna try and beat them like they're in the playoff race and everything, and go balls to the wall or whatever. And it's like you've lost like 25 players to injured reserve. You think you should tone it down maybe a little bit, like Kevin O'Connell, like. I think he's been really good this year with like, we're going to have a walkthrough of practice. We're going to have a practice, but it's going to be a walkthrough. And like, I feel like some of that stuff's made a big difference in the health of, Dan Campbell's Lions, Kyle Shanahan's 49ers, Mike McDaniel's Dolphins. Like, you're sensing a little theme here. And then there's KOC and his Vikings they had a lot of injuries last year, and I think that probably made KOC probably go back to the drawing board and be like, we got to figure something out, and I think they have. So yeah, it's just like who else is going to get hurt on like people will just ruin their lives will be ruined on Monday if like Jared Goff goes down with an injury. Like
Jared Goff tears his ACL on a trick play to Dan Skipper.
We're not wishing for that or anything, but that's just like it feels like something that could happen because that's the Lions, snake bitten history, because there's a snake bitten franchise too, but like that would be insane and not surprising at all either.
I am writing Lions articles actually for a website called The Noise right now.
All right.
And I mentioned this about the Lions. That's their identity. Like that.
Yep.
That's what they have to do with this. It's all 4 on the floor. And like, if you lose some parts in the drag race on the way down, like that's fine. And maybe the
your whole
engine blows
defense.
or your whole defense. It's just Aiden Hutchinson's leg and like a whole bunch of other stuff behind the car. Like, you got a dead body in there? What the hell's going on? No.
Like, it's bad when Zadarius Smith is like one of your healthiest players.
Yes. But he'll be super motivated to face the Vikings next week.
Yeah.
They didn't pay me. Okay. What's going on at the Viking Age?
I would say we're getting back in the swing of things because just been off for the holidays recently, and looking ahead to the Packers game on Sunday, looking at some playoff scenarios. There will be probably some commentary about Darnold and opinions. I know you wrote something about Tommy Kramer talking about him. Everyone's got their opinion on what the Vikings should do in the offseason in 3 months. But God forbid we focus on what they're doing right now. But at the same time, people are going to read that stuff. We're going to write it too. But yeah, go check everything out on thevikingage.com. Follow me, Adam Patrick NFL, on Threads and Blue Sky.
And you can follow
Instagram.
me. Yes, you can follow me at The Real Chris Schad, Instagram, X, Threads, Twitter. I think I just said X and Twitter, but whatever you call it.
Both.
Blue Sky. That's the other one I'm thinking of. I should really post on all of them. There's so many. It's so hard to post on all of them. It's like you just gotta pick one. But like X is hilarious now because like you write. I think they showed something. It was like it said Brock Bowers, but it was actually it said Tank Bigsby, but it was a Brock Bowers highlight.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, or like 4 of the automated comments below was like, "Good job, Tank!" Like, great app, guys.
It's super fun.
But this is the Viking Age podcast. We do this every Monday with a late week episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day, but however you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode and we can spread the word to the masses. For Adam Patrick, I am Chris Schad. This has been the Viking Age podcast.